Hey everybody, it is Justin, your guide into the other side. I know it's been a long time since I've started a video with the Otherside website open on it, but everybody has been asking, what are resources going to be used for? And how are you going to use them inside of the games that are coming for Otherside? And I think at this given point, it's probably pertinent to go over the information that we know. I'm going to talk about resources with what Garga said in the Discord and in the Giga thread that I made here. I'm also going to go over just some basic resources for resources, okay, Inception, and kind of talk about in the context of what we're seeing with the Agora, as well as, you know, the creators that are building their worlds, and just as well as revisiting the Litepaper and then kind of updating it with regards to the M² Codex, because there are no coincidences. Otherside's built on M². We are still waiting for the obelisk, the Codex piece, to be revealed to us, and I do believe that will be the ODK. But we're going to talk about everything here. So let's just break it down. So I know a lot of people have been collecting resources for a very long time now. And you're probably wondering, where is the value accrual in the resources that I've accumulated over the past couple of years? And we all know, in order for resources to be valuable, you know, Otherside has to funnel attention through high-profile proof-of-concept games that are successful and that will retain users. Right? They have to, you know, people have to want to play games, you know, in the context of the Agora. They want to have to go to these places. They will have to go to the official islands like Moonbird's Islands, Coda Island, the Bored Ape Yacht Club Island, etc., and play the games and use the items inside of those games. But there's only one way to make those items inside of the game. And it's highlighted inside of what we're about to discuss here. So let's break it down from resources at the beginning. So the natural materials. Every piece of land in the Otherside nurtures up to 4 replenishing resources that you will be able to harvest and utilize. Of course, these are broken down into the basic 4: animal, ore, shard, and root. Some are rare, some less so. And I know a lot of you guys are collecting those rare ones. So these are the raw materials you will use to shape this world. So again, I will bring up the Otherside wiki where you can find literally all of the resources and all of the deeds. And this is a really comprehensive breakdown on all of the resources. So again, in the context of what we're seeing with, you know, Otherside being user-generated content focused, and, you know, we're seeing a ton of games probably starting in July with regards to Metropolis. My first thought was to kind of recap what Garga said about resources. And he said, I know the big question is on resources. I don't have a better answer to give you on them, because if I say anything and it changes, then everyone will be super pissed. But the goal is the same. We aim to make a first-party experience for people to play, but very importantly, other people can build on top of our platform. This is a metaverse. It's about enabling to build and trade and come as crazy avatars and stuff. So essentially attracting as much attention as possible to validate the existence and actually have interest inside of that function economy. So let's kind of break it down. Let's get to the meat of the video. So this is where things hit the metal, right? We got a lot more updates. Garga had this thread with regards to, you know, Project Dragon and the storyline. You know, people are going to be playing inside of Metropolis, you know, 3,000 players with guns and stuff. So it's like, it got me thinking, right? Because, you know, I'm sure that, you know, manufacturing and resources will not be limited for a while, and especially not right now, not with the first iterations of the game, but in the future, you're just like, okay, you have to have guns inside of Metropolis. At some point, there are going to be games where you can do different things, maybe have armor, maybe, I'm totally speculating at this point, but, you know, like those guns, for example, that's the easiest example. How do you manufacture those, right? And inside of the Litepaper, I know this is a very old Litepaper from a long time ago. I made a video a while back, probably like 8 to 9 months ago, actually. It kind of breaks down the ODK, because at this point, we're actually at that point now. So this kind of goes over the authoring and manufacturing process. And this is, I'm going to say it's not out of date because I read through the M² Codex, which was updated about 2 months ago. So this is relatively up to date. And it kind of talks about metaversal objects. We'll break it down here, but it's easier to read it in the context of how Otherside framed it. So here you can kind of see there are two things required to manufacture items. And again, manufactured items using resources and a template are very important because those constitute like, having a weapon inside of a game, right? If you want to make that specific weapon, you might have to use resources that you've accumulated through your deeds that you basically have, right? So a template is essentially what is created by I would assume the creator of that particular game. So in the context of here, ODK Alpha, right? I wanted to open this up. So this ODK is eventually going to open it up to everybody at some point, right? But he said we're opening up the ODK to a handful of creators over the next 2 weeks. Of course, this is built on M2 World Builder. We're dogfooding the platform with a small group first, but we'll open it up to all other deed holders as soon as possible, right? So we're seeing proof of concept with regards to driving users to high quality, high proof of concept game experiences, right? Like Wagmi-san Shop, Heavy Metal, Rita's World, Bailey's Brain, and maybe Metropolis, Coda Island, Moonbird's Island, the Bored Ape Yacht Club Island, etc., etc. Those games and communities that coalesce around those game experiences are essentially created by a creator, right? And those creators can create templates, right? So I'm going to talk about this. And then, so this template is probably created by the game creator, right? So all of these things here. And then the resources are very likely going to be used by us, right? So we use a template inside of that game experience to create the item that we want to use inside of the game, right? There's not going to be any other way to get that. And then this kind of ties into the Agora as well, because he talked about the Agora being used in this, where's that thread here? Basically, let me scroll down. Where is it? Everything's basically going to be on the Agora, right? So shit, I'm fucking this up. But anyways, I hope you guys are still following along. So right, I talked about the Agora. What's the future going to look like? It starts with this page, the Agora. This is the front page of Otherside, where you're going to be able to launch into upcoming events in your avatar, like your Voyager, Ape, or Coda. And the Agora, again, will have that integrated, like, I would assume, economy, where you're going to have to, I guess, trade your resources. And I would assume that is on ApeChain using ApeCoin. If you guys can track it, I really hope it's clear. I don't want to record this again, but we'll break it down here. So there are two types of primary processes that form the basis of the ODK tooling. So author tools, so these are easy to use in-world tools that let you collaboratively bring assets together and compose them into templates for interoperable objects. But it makes a lot more sense when you have like a free-for-all shooter type of game in Metropolis. It's like guns. That's a pretty obvious use case for manufacturing and resources. It's pretty easy to understand, right? And again, templates can be shared, traded, or sold between Voyagers. So I guess that's interesting. And then creating a template doesn't cost any resources. So here's some theoretical examples of templates. Again, these are kind of bland and generic, but it makes a lot more sense when we're seeing the games literally, we see the games across the corner with Metropolis and Wagmi-san Shop. We don't necessarily know what these are going to be yet. And again, it is a very flexible type of development kit. It's a development kit. It's supposed to be that way for a reason. We believe Voyagers will come with a wide variety of useful and fun new templates that other players will enjoy manufacturing with. So again, manufacturing tools. For an object to become real and permanent within Otherside, it has to be manufactured. So to do this, a Voyager collects resources from around Otherside and combines them with a template to create as many of the type of object as they'd like, so long as they have enough resources to do it. When an object has been manufactured, it will be able to be used and interacted with in game. So again, that's important. I'm going to skip the optimization moderation part and go to resources. So all objects require resources to be manufactured. Resources can be found on plots, traded for, or earned through play. More details to come. So again, all these things from the old white paper is subject to change. It's from a long time ago, guys. But I did want to kind of update it here with M2 Codex and kind of slot everything into place if the pieces are lining up. So again, Some objects may be optionally imbued with special properties by imbuing resources as part of the manufacturing process. So again, it's kind of like, I guess this would kind of reminds me of enchanting from Minecraft. But basically, the bigger and more complex an object is, the more resources will be needed to manufacture it. So I know that sounds kind of nebulous here, but again, let's just say if you have theoretically a tank inside the Metropolis game, that's probably not it, but basically, just say in any other context of any other game that's being built on the ODK here, that's being curated to the front page of the Agora, then the bigger that the item is with more impact inside of the game, the more likely more resources will be used. And the demand for that, especially if the DAU inside of those games that are, high profile, high quality, it's probably going to have some demand, right? So again, it's very important to watch what happens in July. It's very, very important to kind of see what's coming forward. And again, this big thread by Garga here, he did talk about ApeChain as well. So he did talk about this. What did he say? He said, ApeChain, okay, gosh damn it. It's okay. So Horizon, Caldera, and Arbitrum are bringing this ApeChain-based layer 3 to life. First ApeChain test Jenkins went live in April. So again, everything is coalescing very soon here to have ApeChain facilitate probably that stuff that's going to happen in the future with regards to, making sure that they have, the foundation set for, trading, basically says here, more importantly, it's the foundational work needed for the Otherside economy to trade seamlessly. So the aim is to have transaction costs come down to less than a penny and for maximum performance for all your digital assets. So we're having the whole Yuga Web3 engineering team take a look at not just ApeChain, but the whole Arbitrum ecosystem to see how we can get more deeply involved. So this is very, very important. It's very important. I can't stress that enough. So again, I know this specific portion on authoring and manufacturing, this is where resources are going to come into play. So first of all, again, just to reiterate again, you need good games. You need games, you need a content engine, you need people to play the games, you need people to show off the games in order for people to want to play it, use the game items inside of it, manufacture it, and attract demand for resources and transacting on ApeChain using ApeCoin for that. So I know this is a little bit of an out-of-date Otherside Litepaper, but I also wanted to contextualize that inside of the M² Codex. And again, just to break it down, there are four types of participants inside of M²'s technology layer. The Metaverse owners. So again, M² is larger than Yuga in terms of the infrastructural context. These are essentially entities building a metaverse, right? So if you saw Lucidia's fuck render space race, that is an example of an entity building a metaverse. Otherside is also that example. But, I'm going to go over this briefly. So content creators, entities creating content in metaverses, experiences, or objects probably related to those templates, they basically can create those games and use cases for, using resources within those games, like shooters or FFAs or, RPGs, et cetera, et cetera. There's also service providers. I'm not going to cover that. Users, which is us, right? You and me. People who visit metaverses like Otherside and consume the content within. So again, novel mass scale and crowd-based experiences is basically how M² helps them. M² also facilitates ownership of purchased items and cross-metaverse experiences. And again, ownership of purchased items is important here. So again, I'm just kind of reconciling the old Litepaper because the verbiage is very mirrored in the sense that it is very similar to the Codex here. And then additionally, there's also the talk of metaversal objects within the M² Codex. But again, I already covered this in the scope of the Litepaper. Kind of makes sense, especially contextualized with this big thread that Garga posted on the Otherside Town Hall recap. And then we also have the Giga thread here as well. So that's pretty important. I don't think I need to go over. Actually, yes, I will go over it. It's a little bit easier. They actually describe it a lot more easy here than the manufacturing process here. This one was a little bit more generic and vague, but basically there are a couple of levels with regards to metaversal objects. A good example is like a gaming skin, view only, wearable to the avatar. There's specific behaviors, portability, ownership, and provenance, blah, blah, blah. But they also kind of talk about, virtual pool tables in which you can move between experiences, the balls on the table being interoperable and physically interacting. Interesting. But basically, again, you can kind of see how things come together, like gaming skins within a specific game. It's a very broad use case. I kind of get why Garga can't really speak on it, because it's literally anything, really, with regards to resources. It's just that scope is defined by the creator and essentially entity that builds those things builds those things on the ODK and shows it to us in, the context of like a game. So then we might want to use it and use resources to manufacture it, and then essentially sell those things maybe through the Agora on ApeCoin on ApeChain. So hopefully, how long is this video? 15 minutes. Okay, hopefully that kind of contextualizes and clarifies a lot of how resources will grow into the ecosystem in the future. But I hope this was a useful video. It's gonna be big. There's gonna be a lot of things. There's so many things coming down the pipe, guys. I can't even begin to there's so much. I feel like my eyes are gonna blow up. But anyways, you guys know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. I hope everything is a lot more clear now. But we'll just have to wait and see in July. It is June now, so it's literally just a month around the corner. But anyways, we'll see you guys on the other side. Peace.